Welcome back to the Bears Baseball Network. We have June awards coming here in the BBN studio. And I'll tell you what, KJ, a very exciting June, a lot of performances. You know, it feels like April, May, a lot of rainouts. It was hard to get a rhythm going, but June, we played every single weekend. It was very, very exciting. KJ, for you, looking at this month, feels like a lot of top performances, both pitching and hitting. Who's just one player that comes to mind as having a really good June in your mind before we get into the award show here?
Yeah, I gotta say it's Andrew Willeret. I think this is a guy that's full on a team full of studs that sometimes he can kind of get lost in that star-studded roster. But make no mistake, Andrew Willeret has been one of the best players on one of the best teams in the Bears.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, we got a lot to talk about Andrew Willeret later on. I got a little story. But Bernie, obviously this show is about the top performers in the Bears organization, the big-time players. But Bernie, I did want to shed some light here on some of the big prospects coming up. Who, in your mind, had a big June that's not on the top team right now?
That's not on the top team right now. I saw this in box scores. Eric Letraney had some really big games, both at the plate and on the mound, especially. This guy had 2 or 3 really good starts, right? Where he's starting to make a push for that Floyd squad.
Yeah, a lot of top players, both at the top teams and also coming up through the ranks right now. Very, very exciting. But let's go ahead and get the June Awards started here with maybe the most prestigious award in the Bears. It is the Youth MVP. Let's take a look at the top 3. Coming in at number 3, the Youth MVP, it's Harrison Bleibom here in the month of June. A big-time month for Harrison Bleibom. Coming in at number 2, we have Cooper Woolen, the number 2 in the June MVP race. And finally, the winner of the June MVP for the youth, 14 and below, it's Rudy Montenegro Langley. Who else? This guy, an absolute beast. Bernie, I think no surprise here, Rudy Montenegro Langley, back-to-back winner of the June award show. This guy, Bernie, just continues to hit at a historic rate. He's on pace right now to be the Bears' all-time career home run leader, or all-time single-season home run leader when it's all said and done. Give me your thoughts on Rudy Montenegro Langley, our youth MVP for June.
Yeah, he proved that the first couple months weren't a fluke. This guy's still on track to have just possibly the best Bears season we've seen at the plate. He continues to roll, man. I don't see any reason why he's going to slow down the rest of June and July.
KJ, Cooper Woolen, a guy who maybe got off to a bit of a slow start with a lot of the rainouts, couldn't get a rhythm going, but he's been MVP caliber so far in the month of June, really the second half of the season. A big month from him, hit over 600. Give me your thoughts on Cooper Woolen here, the number 2 in the MVP race.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were all over Cooper Woolen coming out of a really strong winter. He had a really good BWL. And like you said, I think he got off to a slow start, but I think that slow start was a fluke, and this month was what Cooper Woolen really is.
Rudy Montenegro Langley, by the way, 3rd-time monthly MVP for him. But, Bernie, I want to talk about a guy who's also got 4 monthly MVPs. He's a guy who leads all of the Bears in monthly MVPs. That's Harrison Bleibom. He comes in at number 3. Bernie, we talked a lot about Harrison maybe not quite playing to his standards early in the year, but it feels like he's back to where he always is, a .533 average, 1507 OPS in the month of June. Give me your thoughts on Harrison Bleibom, Bernie. Maybe starting to get back to his form.
Yeah, he looked really good, right? He started to elevate the ball a little more, getting the ball in the gaps. This is a guy that's going to either lead the Bears in doubles for a very, very long time or, be in the top 2 or 3 in the Bears. There's obviously Rudy has had a lot of home runs, but I think Harrison, has been just as good with extra base hits.
Harrison Bleibom continues to get hotter and hotter as the weather gets hotter and hotter. Big month for Harrison Bleibom. Let's go ahead and move things along here to the high school MVP as these guys came back here late May and into June. The high school MVP for June. Coming in at 3rd place, Landon Nickerson. In 2nd place for the high school MVP in June, we have Lucas Wilburn. And finally, in 1st place, the winner of the high school MVP in the month of June, it is Andrew Willeret, a monster month here. And KJ, you were talking about this guy as he's been kind of your player to watch here in June, a big-time month, putting up the stats really on the offensive side, the pitching side, and the defensive side. This guy all around has been the most valuable player of all of our high school players. KJ, This is a guy who I think has impressed us for a long time, a former Rookie of the Year. This is his second time being the monthly MVP. And KJ, I think this is a guy who can really do it on all facets of the game. Give me your thoughts on Andrew Willeret.
Yeah, I think Andrew's always been known as he's been a really disciplined hitter. He's not going to strike out a lot. He's going to make a lot of contact. But I think this year we've seen a real spike in extra base hits. His OPS is going way up. And if you just look at these guys' stats on this team without looking at the names, you wouldn't really expect Andrew Willett to have as high of an OPS and as many extra base hits as he does. But he might have a little bit of a smaller frame. But this guy has big numbers. And like we said earlier, he's leading one of the best teams in the Bears in hitting.
13 extra base hits. I mentioned the second place and third place, as you can see on the graphic. 6 and 7 extra base hits. And Landon Lucas had monster months. I mean, 7 extra base hits in a month is a very nice month. 13 is just on another level. Andrew Willeret, just a monster month. Bernie, I did want to talk about Lucas Wilburn. I think he very justifiably could have been the June MVP. He had over 600 as a high school player in the month of June, a 1470 OPS. Give me your thoughts on Lucas Wilburn, Bernie, here in this month. I know he's always been a top player in the Bears. What do you think about Lucas Wilburn's June?
Yeah, this is a guy you're going to see every month at the top of that 15 Floyd, stat list. If the question with Lucas Wilburn is always going to be the power, right? 7 extra base hits is a good month for Lucas, right? If he continues to do that month in and month out, he will win a full season MVP at some point. But the batting average, right, 600, that is not much of a surprise here. He's going to be probably a little under that, but not by a ton.
And then finally, KJ, a guy that really has had a monster season so far. It's been Landon Nickerson. He's another guy, kind of like Harrison Blaibom, that last year we talked about, he was good, but he wasn't quite Landon Nickerson. He wasn't putting up those monster stats, especially in the power department, like we've come to know from him. KJ, he's right back at it. 3 homers this month. I believe he's got 4 on the season. What are your thoughts on Landon Nickerson? KJ, do you just see him all the way back? What do you thought about his big month here in June?
Yeah, I think Landon's always been a very good hitter. I like to compare Landon to his older brother, Brennan. When Brennan was here, Brennan's a guy who wasn't necessarily a huge batting average, but he had a ton of home runs. Landon's always been kind of the opposite. He's always had a real nice batting average, but not a lot of power. And I think this year we've really started to see the power from Landon. He's hitting balls far out, and that batting average is still staying very high. So when you put those two things together, it's very impressive.
While we're talking about the top hitters in the Bears for June, let's go ahead and take a look at our June All-Star team. As you see here, Bernie, we're going to go ahead and start with you here. The first column: Cooper Woolen, Lucas Kloster, Hamilton Case, Owen Haynes, Rudy Montenegro Langley, Harrison Blaibom. Harrison Blaibom's actually on there twice there. It's supposed to be Owen Lewis as he's on the next page there. So sorry about that. Harrison Blaibom on there twice. Although Bernie, he could have been a 2-time also this month with how good he was. But we've talked about Rudy. We've talked about Harrison, Bernie. What about these 12 of you guys? Cooper Woolen, Lucas Kloster, Hamilton Case, and Owen Haynes. Who stands out to you there?
Yeah, I think Hamilton's the guy that I wouldn't necessarily have known he was going to be on the All-Star list, before. The other 3 guys have all had great months, but Hamilton's been a guy who I think at the start of the year struggled a little bit. But he's still, he's 11U player. He's still one of the best 12U guys in that squad.
Yeah, he has had a big-time month. What's been most impressive to me about Hamilton has been the power numbers. I mean, this is a guy we've known can hit for a high average. We know the defense is going to be at a very nice level, but the power has been very surprising. He's hit some balls that would have been out if he was playing at Strel or playing at the small Fenton Field, but they've been playing a lot at Fenton 5, which is a big field. Fenton City is a big field. I think Hamilton Case easily could have a couple over the fence home runs. He has 2. I think he'd have 4 or 5 if he was on Fenton, Fenton 10 every weekend. I think he's had a monster season. KJ, moving on here to the second column, got Owen Lewis, Alex Vo, Owen Weibrecht, Nick Byrne, Quentin Choate, Landon Portell, and Lucas Wilburn. Talked about a couple of these guys already, KJ, but I will say, if there were a 4th place for the youth MVP in the month of June, it had to have been Owen Weibrecht. I mean, a monster month from this guy. It was very tough to leave him off the MVP top 3, but this guy just kept on hitting. Kind of like Hamilton, maybe the surprising thing has been the power. Give me your thoughts on Owen Weibrecht, his development as a hitter in the month of June.
Yeah, Owen's always been a premier athlete. He's always been a really good defender. He's very fast. But like you said, the hitting has definitely came around, especially in the last couple weeks. So he's hitting the ball hard. He's got power, and obviously he can fly around the bases. So, yeah, he's really becoming a complete hitter. The strikeouts are way down. The walks are still staying the same. He's getting on base a ton, and the extra base hits are coming up as well.
Yeah, and then KJ, another guy I wanted to ask you about is Nick Byrne. I mean, this guy just continues to hit at a high level. I believe he was top 3 in the MVP back in May. Wasn't quite top 3, but was not far out. KJ, what do you think about this guy's transformation from 4 or 5 years ago being a bottom tier player, being a guy who's batting 7th on the second team, to now being a superstar, a top 5 hitter in the Bears. Give me your thoughts on Nick Byrne so far this season, another All-Star month.
Yeah, I think Nick is fully sold out on the approach in his entire career. And, when Nick gets out, he gets out trying to hit a home run. And that's kind of what we want all these hitters to get to, and especially the guys on the bottom team. We want them to understand that when you do get out, we want you to get out being aggressive and swinging with intent. You're not going to watch any Nick Byrne at bats where he isn't swinging with intent. So I think that's his big thing. And he went from, swinging and missing at everything. He's swinging hard, but he's swinging and missing everything, pulling his head, to now he's swinging at the same speed, but now he's making loud contact.
Moving on here to the third column, Bernie, we got Joey Burgess, Mason Geddes, Evan Lancaster, Andrew Willerette, Landon Nickerson, Ben Combs, and Bruce Portell to round out our June All-Stars. Bernie, I want to ask you about two guys here. First of all, a guy who, again, you could say 3 years ago was one of the bottom players on the third team. I believe he was the backup third baseman for the third level team when he joined. And Bernie, now he is a June All-Star, arguably a top 2 hitter on his team. That's Joey Burgess. Give me your thoughts on him, Bernie. I know you've gotten to see a lot of his games so far in this summer. I mean, this guy, when he hits, it's absolutely crushed. His defense has come a long way. What do you think about Joey Burgess so far in 2025?
Yeah, I think, going into the year, I still think Joey was still to be considered one of the top hitters on this team. But if you watch Joey Burgess at bat, man, he has the Bears approach, right? He's going to lay off all the off-speed pitches, and when you throw Joey a fastball in the zone, he's going to take a hack at it. Now, when you see Joey, get hot is when he starts making contact consistent with those pitches, when he keeps his head down all the way through. But he did it all month, right? I don't expect Joey to slow down.
Yeah, and then Bernie, another guy I want to ask you about was Mason Geddes. I think this is a guy who, for a long time, we've kind of known as a guy who's just good at everything, right? He's a good fielder, he's a good pitcher, he's a good hitter, but he was never great at anything. Bernie, I think you could argue he is great at all 3 facets of the game right now. His hitting, his pitching, and fielding has all taken a step forward. Give me your thoughts on Mason Geddes, Bernie, so far in the month of June.
Yeah, another guy that I think the power is always a question for Mason, man. And, this year, he seems like he's really committed to that approach. And, I think that this season, with that 15-foot lamps and switching up here a little bit, I think Mason's been that consistent guy for the most part at the top of the lineup, batting the top 4, wherever he might be batting 1, 2, 3, or 4. But he's been that consistent guy all year for this team.
We've talked about a lot of hitters. Let's talk about some pitchers first with the Youth Cy Young Award. Coming in third place, Connor Kennedy. Bit of a surprise here, maybe. Coming in second place for the June Cy Young, it's Owen Haynes. And finally, the winner of the Youth Cy Young Award here in June, it's who other than Alex Vo, who's been absolutely dominant. Bernie, I know this team going into the year, it's been kind of a look for an ace. Who's going to be the big game pitcher? And Bernie, you've certainly found it here in Alex Vo. He's been absolutely dominant so far in this month. And Bernie, it seems like he just keeps getting better. Obviously, Bernie, the concern for him maybe in 2024 was just the control. I don't think there was any doubt of how effective he can be when he's in the zone. But I think the control was always, was he going to go out and strike out 8 and walk 7? Now it seems like he's striking out 7 and walking 2, Bernie. Give me your thoughts on Alex Vo here, our Youth Cy Young for June.
Yeah, I think this guy, I know we talked about on last month's awards show that he had a big start in the middle of May, right? I think that was kind of his turning point. And it's just a confidence thing with Alex Vo. He was the same with his defense last year, but this guy now believes he can throw his fastball at any time for a strike. He can throw his curveball at any count for a strike. With the velocity already there, man, he's found command of everything. And he's ever since I said Vo's the ace of this team, he's taken over that role and been great.
Yeah, very, very impressive. KJ, looking at second place here, Owen Haynes. I would say, KJ, you've talked about a lot that the first step for a pitcher is to be able to throw your fastball for a strike. But once you get past that, once you start facing better teams and you're asked to be the Sunday ace, you need an off-speed pitch, and Owen Haynes has really, that's been the difference between 2024 and 2025. He has been absolutely dominant, KJ, with 3 different pitches he can throw in the strike zone, gets a ton of swings and misses, 18-7 strikeout to walk in this month. KJ, give me your thoughts on Owen Haynes, his second place in the Cy Young.
Yeah, when you're playing 12U baseball and you have multiple pitches that you can throw for strikes, multiple pitches that are nasty, a fastball that plays, like you said, Owen Haynes is the full package. And, when he's got everything working, it's going to be very, very hard to hit him.
Bernie, a guy who I don't think any of us would expect in the top 3 Cy Young. Even before I looked at the stats, I wouldn't have expected this guy in the top 3 Cy Young. But Connor Kennedy gets into 3rd place. Bernie, a sub-2 ERA. 8 strikeouts, just 5 walks. I mean, this guy pitched a big game for you in this last week. GMB championship game. Bernie, how did we get here? How did Connor Kennedy go from being a guy who just eats some innings occasionally to being a guy who you can rely on in big games here and keep a sub-2 ERA? Give me your thoughts on Connor Kennedy.
Yeah, I think early in June, he threw against a team that wasn't great, but he went out there and dominated. Right? He did exactly what he was supposed to do. And then we played in that the GMB World Series week where we played 6 games, and we don't get that 6 games without Connor Kennedy, man. I think out of the first 5, he threw out of the bullpen in 3 of them. Looked great in all 3. Got us through some really big innings. And like you said, this past weekend, championship game, man, he had to come in the first inning with no outs out of the bullpen when we were already down by 4 or 5 runs. He ends up giving us a shot. We ended up losing on a walk-off in the 6th inning, but he threw 5 2/3 to get us there, and he absolutely gave us a shot.
Yeah, kind of similar story to Owen Haynes. He's a guy who was a just fastball pitching machine, pound the strike zone, not give up any walks. I don't care how much contact I allow. So now he's added some off speed. He can go up there and get strikeouts. I think for me, the most impressive number was the amount of strikeouts he's been able to get this season because he's a guy, again, who was just up there pounding strikes, and now it seems like he's a big-time, big-game pitcher. So very, very impressive. Let's go ahead and move on here to our high school Cy Young for the month of June. Coming in at 3rd place, it is Evan Lancaster. In 2nd for the high school Cy Young, it's Bruce Portell. And finally, the winner here of the high school Cy Young in June, it's Mason Geddes. KJ, it does not get much more dominant than this. We'll put up the graphic here in a second. 15 innings, 30 strikeouts, just 7 walks, and a 0.0 ERA from Mason Geddes. KJ, this guy was absolutely dominant with a capital D. I mean, this guy could do no wrong this month. Gave his team a chance to win every single game. Did not allow a run. And KJ, sometimes you hear 0 ERA and you're like, okay, well, maybe some Mickey Mouse defense. KJ, in the whole month, he only had 2 runs allowed. 0 earned runs, only 2 runs. Only 2 guys scored when Mason Geddes was on the mound. An absolutely dominant month. KJ, give me your thoughts on Mason Geddes, his transformation as maybe the best pitcher in the Bears right now.
Yeah, I think Mason Geddes is similar in the case that he was a strike thrower for a long time, a guy who you could trust to beat, non-aggressive teams. But then he started having some really good breaking stuff, I think I noticed last winter. And when I saw him pitch for the first time this year, I mean, he was throwing very, very hard. And, I watch him and Evan Lancaster pitch around the same time, and they're both throwing, around the same. We think of Evan as this big flamethrower, and he is. But Mason Geddes isn't too far behind with his fastball, and you play that off of really good, 2 really good breaking pitches Mason has. It makes sense why no one can touch him.
Bernie, if I told you that this guy was going to have 19 Ks to 5 walks with a 0 ERA, you'd probably say he was going to win June Cy Young, Bernie. It was not quite enough to be the June Cy Young, but it is good enough for 2nd place. Bruce Portell. Bruce was actually joking with me. He was saying that we need to get a reliever of the year award because he was coming mostly out of the bullpen, but Bernie, absolutely dominant stats. I think having a closer in youth baseball, Bernie, is more of a luxury that a lot of teams don't have. But I'll tell you what, 16 Floyd has got to love having this guy who just comes in. When he gets in, nobody's scoring on him. He's not going to walk anybody. It was 12 innings of no runs for Bruce Portell. Give me your thoughts about this guy, Bernie, here in June.
Yeah, like you said, it is unbelievable to have a guy like that coming in the top of the 6th or top of the 7th inning or whatever the last inning may be. It just know he's not going to allow any runs. But, Bruce is one of those guys, man, that I think with any of his pitches, it's 4 or 5 different pitches he has, that he can pick out a spot, hit the glove without you even moving it, and do it very consistently. Man, this guy's not a guy, from what I've seen, that's going to absolutely just overpower somebody, right? He's going to hit his spots with every single pitch he's got. He's going to be very precise with it.
And finally, KJ, in 3rd place here, you got somebody who's no stranger to being top 3 in the Cy Young Awards, Evan Lancaster. I think, obviously, he was not the best pitcher in the Bears this month, but I think he's got the argument to be one of the best pitchers in the Bears, just in the history of the Bears, and especially 2025. This guy just continues to go out there and just compete every single time out. Again, you could say this was a quote-unquote down month for Evan Lancaster. It was 26 Ks to 10 walks with a 2.72 ERA. You take that every single month. KJ, give me your thoughts on Evan Lancaster, his month here in June.
Yeah, I think Evan is going to be his own worst enemy. Meaning, when he's throwing strikes, it's very rare that he's not going to have a good start. Very rare that teams are hitting Evan Lancaster when he's on. So just getting consistent in the zone is Evan's big thing. But there's no doubt that the stuff is there. I mean, he has a top-notch velo, multiple really good breaking pitches as well.
Very, very impressive stuff from all three of these pitchers. Bernie, let's go ahead and real quickly talk about the Rookie of the Month. I still say real quickly because we've talked about all three of these guys already. And it's Alex Voe at the top of the Rookie of the Month. Bernie, really no question. I mean, this guy's doing it on all phases of the ball, pitching, hitting, defense. We've already talked a lot about his pitching. So tell me, Bernie, about this guy's offense and defense. What has he added to this team?
Yeah, Vody's batted fourth in almost every single game this year, batting behind all the big bats in front of him. And, Harrison is first on the team in doubles, and your second guess would probably be Rudy, but it's actually Vote in second place. This guy, offensively, he swings the bat hard. I think this guy has potential to lead the Bears in doubles. And defensively, been a very sure-handed shortstop, right? He can go get any ball with anybody, and even if he bobbles the ball a little bit, he's got an absolute rocket on his shoulder that he can throw guys out still.
Yeah, in second place here, Bruce Portell. Again, we've already talked about his pitching. I mean, this guy's offense has been fantastic here from him. And coming in third place, I apologize, error on the graphic there. That's supposed to be Quentin Choate, who came in at third place. Those are his stats below. Wrong name there. It is Quentin Choate. Those are his stats. KJ 357, 3 extra base hits, and 935 OPS. This is a guy who we thought is a long-term project in Quentin Choate, and he has come out and performed really immediately, KJ, in 2025. Give me your thoughts on Quentin Choate, another very nice month here from the rookie.
Yeah, this is another guy similar to the Nick Byrne thing where he is up there and you never have to question his intensity. You never have to question where he's trying to hit the ball. Now, he's not nearly as polished as Nick Byrne, but he's definitely getting there, and the approach is right. But something that's really impressed me about Quentin is that I know at least in Nick Byrne's early days, he would swing at everything. Pitches over his head, curveballs in the dirt. Quentin Choate is very disciplined up there, and he's very aggressive in the zone and against fastballs. But, he needs more time, and that's going to be his biggest factor.
Let's end the show here with some defense, starting with the Youth Platinum Glove Award for the month of June. Bernie, it's Rudy Montenegro Langley, and we talk about if you have a catcher that can suppress the run game, especially at 13U. I mean, this guy was absolutely very, very tough to run on. Bernie, I don't know if you have the stat memories, but the stat that you sent me about his catching, do you have it memorized, Bernie, off the top of your head?
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah, go ahead and give it to us, Bernie.
So, in the month of June, I think Rudy caught 55 innings. Only 24 guys tried to steal off Rudy. Only 19 succeeded, so Rudy threw out 5 out of 24 guys in 55 innings. My other two catchers combined for 8 innings caught, and I think the other team stole like 24 bases off us in those 8 innings, right? That just shows you how massive Rudy is back there with his arm. And not too many guys try to steal off Rudy, man. If they do, they're probably going to get thrown out.
Yeah, I've said multiple times, I think the most valuable asset you can have as a catcher in the younger ages is the ability to just make teams scared to run. I mean, even if you can't throw runners out, although Rudy can, clearly, even if you can't throw runners out, just making them scared to run just changes the game. These singles aren't triples anymore. You force teams to really have to hit to beat you. I think he's been a big part of the success, Bernie. Obviously, hitting, he's been a big part of the success, but I think his defense has been just as valuable. KJ, if you're not looking at shortstop, you're looking at center field for a Platinum Glove candidate, and Ben Chartrand has just been patrolling out there, has not made an error, has 15 putouts in the month of June. This guy, not only does he make all the easy plays, KJ, but he can go and get it. One of the fastest guys in the Bears. Give me your thoughts on having Ben Chartrand patrolling center field.
Yeah, I think before this month, Ben has been a really good outfielder. I think this is the first month that he's became a very, very good center fielder. He's getting that kind of aggressiveness to go and get balls, take balls from left and right fielders, call people off, not being afraid to dive. And the last couple weeks especially, and really in this month of June, Ben has started to be that center fielder that wants to go get the ball, that takes balls from the corner. So, he's done a great job.
Yeah, he's been very, very good. And coming in at third place, it is going to be Cooper Woolen. This, again, you kind of look at, when you think of youth baseball, you kind of sleep on the first baseman a little bit, but especially at those younger ages, having a good first baseman who can make the rest of the infield better is just so key. And I think that Cooper Woolen has done a fantastic job of elevating that whole, 12U Floyd? Is that 12U, right? 12U Floyd infield. I always get 12 and 11 confused there. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the high school Platinum Glove here. The winner, again, if you're not going to look at short, you're going to look in center field, and it's Andrew Willerette. KJ, I'll tell you what. It's tough to look at game changer stats when it comes to Platinum Glove, so this is probably the award that I have to talk to people the most about who's actually adding value in every 6U Floyd player I talk to. Player, coach, assistant coach, didn't matter. When I said who's been the most impactful defender, they've all said Andrew Willeret. And some people even said, listen, I hate to say it, because this guy has not always been a great center fielder, but Andrew Willeret has gone and gotten it. He's got 34 putouts in 23 games out there, and if you watch some of his highlights, he is getting balls that nobody else can get to. KJ, I think we've questioned this guy's defense in the past, at least maybe not necessarily being a bad center fielder, but just an okay one. But I think he's been an elite center fielder this month. Give me your thoughts on Andrew Willeret.
Yeah, he's kind of what we're trying to get Ben Chartrand to be like, where he's not afraid to go and get it. He's going to take balls from left and right fielders. He's got a good arm. He's got good speed. He's got great range. So, yeah, he's the full package.
Adam Shockley was fantastic out in right field. It's the way Rob Floyd put it, it's like having two center fielders out there because Willeret makes all the plays. Adam Shockley is going right there. You know, I think that very many 16U teams, Adam Shockley would be their center fielder. He was absolutely fantastic in the month of June. And finally, Bernie, you talk about the utility Gold Glove that just got moved into MLB. We've got a utility player here in third place. It's Logan Payne. He's got a 1,000% fielding percentage, Bernie, and he's done it at second, short, center, right, first, left. It hasn't mattered. Wherever you put Logan Payne, he's making plays. Give me your thoughts, Bernie, on a guy who can really gives you a ton of versatility defensively and can play anywhere and play it at a high level.
Yeah, man. As a coach, it just gives you so many different options with the lineup. If somebody makes a mistake, you can put Logan Payne out there in his spot and not be worried at all. I know this past week I was at the 15 Floyd game. There was an error made in the position, and I was like, just put Logan Payne there. It's going to work out because he's just so good in any spot you put him in. But yeah, just as a coach, it gives you so many different options to your lineup.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Bears Baseball Network. Very soon we'll have our spring-summer award show, so be sure to be on the lookout for that. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Bears Baseball Network. We'll talk to y'all next week.